This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
So, Brian, are you doing the agenda or are you doing it, Brad?
Brian's going to be running those.
All right.
Okay, so I can go through the signatories that are present. We have Steve Woelfel representing SDOT Secretary and CEO, Kessler.
Here.
Arthur Frost, Mass DOT Highway Division.
Here.
Tom Skorowski, Fitchburg.
Here.
Gordon Robinson, Leominster.
Here.
Guy Corbisiero, MRPC Chair.
Present.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes, George Kahali, representing Mart Administrator Bruno Fisher.
And the last signatory we have present is Rosemary Meissner, Subregion 2.
Here.
Oh, and I just saw Trevor Beauregard, also from Gardner.
Yeah, here, Brian.
All right.
Okay, I think we're good.
Do we want to go, Brian, quickly around the room? Who else is on the phone?
So we can, I can read off the participants list, and if you want, you can just say here. Brian Doherty,
Present.
Sherry Bean, MRPC.
Here.
Alan Minoyan from AIR.
Here, thank you.
Daryl Emerald, Mass DOT.
Here.
Ann Sullivan, Mass DOT.
Here.
Bonnie Mahoney, Mart.
Here.
Brian Doheny, Ashburnham.
Here.
Chris Clem, Mass DOT.
Here.
Derek Cravat, Mass DOT.
Here.
George Snow, MRPC.
Here.
Jonathan Rockwell.
Hi there.
And let's see what else we have down here. Tara Bradbury, Mass DOT.
I'm here.
Michelle Ho with Mass DOT. Is Michelle here? Okay. And then Tracy Copolati. Sorry about that.
Michelle Ho is here, sorry.
Okay, so that's the names I have on the participant list, and I think, does anyone I missed?
All right.
Chris Timmel's here from Federal Highway.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
I just joined, sorry.
All right. I think we're done with introductions. So thank you, everyone, and welcome. Move on to agenda item 2, which is public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to agenda item 3, which is the approval of December 15th, 2021 minutes. Can I get a motion a second to approve the minutes, and then I'll open up to any questions or edits or changes people have. So can I get a motion a second?
Guy Corbisiero, move the minutes.
I'll second Arthur Frost.
All right. Are there any changes or comments on the minutes? All right. Seeing none, Brian, can you read the roll, please?
Steve Woelfel, Mass DOT, representing Secretary Kessler.
Yes.
Arthur Frost, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Tom Skorowski, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Trevor Beauregard, Gardner.
Yes.
Gordon Robertson, Leominster.
Abstain.
Guy Corbisiero, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes,
Rosemary Meissner, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, that passes with one abstention.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will now move into agenda item 4, which is the Montachusett federal fiscal year 2022 to 2026 tip. Brian, I assume that's you.
Yep, this is Bonnie's going to go over most of this information. Some background is at last month's MPO, we sent out for public comment some transit amendments to fiscal year 2022. There was some additional updates to that since we closed the comment period. So Bonnie will go over that. Basically, what we'll do is go over all the new developments and vote whether to endorse the original amendment and go over an additional second amendment that we've come up with since that time. So Bonnie, I have the handouts here if you want to go through them.
Yeah, could you bring up the page with the original amendment? Okay. So this is the amendment that I presented at the December. Hello? Okay. At the December meeting. So I don't know if anybody had any comments. Brian, were there any comments received other than the one that I submitted?
Nope. So the one comment we received was from the Transit Authority.
Okay.
There were no other comments.
Okay. So right at the end of the comment period, we received a notification from MassDOT. So in a meeting that we had with MassDOT doing our program preview, they had mentioned that they had additional RTA cap funds, that they were looking to see if any of the RTAs who were pretty good at spending down RTA cap had any projects from FY23 that they could pull into FY22 and receive that RTA cap in this year that we could spend down. And we also had that $30,000 that came from the from the elevator project. Sorry, I don't know why my phone is doing this weird ringing thing. Try to see if it'll go away. It doesn't seem to want to. I'm gonna stuff it in my drawer. There. So we had that $30,000 as well that we were kind of holding in reserve. So Bruno had said, you know, we would look at our 23 list, and he sent them a list of 3 projects. 2 of the projects are extensions of projects that we were doing in FY22, which was the upgrade IT related support equipment, as well as the key and access control. Brian, do you have that second, the document that I submitted with the comment? Yeah, okay. And then a third project was the Fitchburg ITC surveillance system upgrade. These are all FY23 projects that we said we could probably accomplish in the remainder of FY22. We had already decided that our Fitchburg ITC surveillance system upgrade was going to be done in FY22, and we were going to use CRISA funds to be able to accomplish it in FY22. We were not only doing the Fitchburg ITC, but we're also doing the Water Street facility. And we had put quite a bit of CRISA funds to go to that project. The reason you see it here on this list is the state has given us $33,000 to be able to accomplish this. This was the original budget that was set for FY23. So they gave us that $33,000 in additional RTA cap. And as soon as you attach RTA cap to a project, because of the CIP process that MassDOT Rail and Transit has, we had to put it into the Black Cat system, which then amends it into the TIP process. That's just the way that Rail and Transit does their capital improvement planning process. So it is here at the original budget that it was in FY23. So it looks like it's an added project, but it's really just all 3 of these projects are pulling them forward from 23 into 22. And then the other two projects that I mentioned, the upgrade IT support equipment and the building access control, what we did is we took their full FY23 budgets and brought them into FY22, therefore almost doubling both of those projects. The key and access control, we had already asked for additional funds and increase of funds on that in the previous version that we released in December. We had done a small increase to that project there, and this is just making it a bigger increase, taking it from $100,000, which is what we had set it at in the TIP amendment that we released in December, and bringing it up to 175, which would be the total of both years. The amended amount and the 75,000 that was slotted for next year. So that's what, so we sent it in as a comment, didn't know the viability of being able to increase those amounts as a comment, but we figured I would just try it anyway. All of these projects are already in progress as it is, so whatever the MPO decides about, whether we just release and approve the original budgets that were given in December and were available throughout the full 21-day comment period, and then do these additional increased budgets as an amendment number 2, or if we do some kind of adjustment through the MPO process, Mart is fine with either avenue going forward. So, any questions?
All right. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Bonnie? So, Bonnie, is it the two projects on, Brian, can you bring up the spreadsheet again? Is it those two projects that are in red are the ones that went up in cost?
No, the two projects in red are the ones that we deleted, and those were the original deletions that we had submitted back. This is what we submitted at the December MPO meeting.
Okay.
That we were deleting those two projects, adding 2 green projects, and then increasing budgets on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects. So you can see right here, this key access and control, Water Street, Fitchburg, and North Leominster. This was originally I want to say $60,000 project, and with this release, we raised it to 100. With the brand new money that we sent in as a comment, it takes it from 100 to 175. So, and then the IT support equipment, you can see it's at the very top of the page. It was an original project, but we're increasing that budget from 120 to, I think it's 245, Brian. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah, can you show that?
Essentially doubling it. Yeah. So.
I'll just say that if you look at this one here, those projects that are highlighted in the blue, those are the changes from what was out for public comment. So there's 3 projects in blue. The first one was increased by 125,000, the second one by 75,000, and the third down below is brand new added to the amendment. So these are the 3 changes.
And one thing that the MPO may not realize is at any projects, as long as they are not above $500,000 and a deviation of what you would normally be doing, like adding additional services or doing an expansion of your fleet or something like that, under CRISA rules, we technically don't have to program that money into the TIP. But like I said, we did program it, one, because those are the processes for adding RTA cap. So, so it's a new project, but it's a new project that doesn't necessarily.
I would also like to make the comment that we reviewed this at the MJTC last week, and it was their feeling that based upon past precedent regarding cost changes and project additions, that it would probably be best to re-release this amendment for another 21 days. But that was the MJTC's feeling based upon prior experiences with project changes.
Right. So, and my ask is that we do not re-release the entire tip for the 21 days, but approve the original, what was sent out at the December meeting, and then we can do the 3 blue projects as a tip amendment number 2.
So from the chair's perspective, I think what Bonnie, you suggested makes the most sense to, you know, based on the JTC response, based on our the MPO's public participation plan. I think that's the best way to do this. So can I get a motion to endorse this amendment without excluding the 3 blue projects? And then once we do that, then we could do another
The
motion.
original budget's on the screen.
Right. So can I get a motion, a second, to approve, to endorse the amendment that went out, excluding the blue projects that we talked about? I think that was Guy.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Second.
Arthur Frost.
All right. Any other questions for Bonnie? All right. This is just to endorse those projects without the blue. So, Brian, you want to read the roll on that?
Steve Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Arthur Frost, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Tom Skorowski, Fitchburg.
Yes. Yes.
Trevor Beauregard, Gardner.
Yes.
Gordon Robertson, Leominster.
Yes.
Guy Corbacero, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
And Rosemary Meissner, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for all that. Now, could I get a motion and a second to take those 3 blue projects as presented by Bonnie and with Brad's clarifications to put out for a 21-day public comment period?
And I'm sorry, just to interrupt, but what's up on the screen right now is what we're calling amendment number 2, and that is the changes that Bonnie has mentioned.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brad. So can I get a motion, a second, to approve amendment 2 as up on the screen?
So moved,
So
Guy
moved.
Corbacero.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions? All right, Brian, please read
I
the
just
roll.
have
Oh.
one. Brad, I don't know if you've thought about a public comment period for this second amendment.
I haven't looked at the dates yet, but I'm sure we can get it in before the next MPO meeting.
Okay, I have, just for an example, we could go this coming Friday, January 21st to Friday, February 11th, which would be 21 days and would allow for the MJTC to review this and possibly comment in
Okay.
their February meeting.
Okay, we can make the changes and get that out.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so we have a motion and second. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none. Brian, could you please read the roll?
Steve Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Arthur Frost, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Tom Skorowski, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Trevor Beauregard, Gardner.
Yes.
Gordon Robertson, Leominster.
Yes.
Guy Corbacero, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
And Rosemary Meissner, Subregion 2.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie, for all that explanation, and Brian and Brad.
Steve?
So,
Excuse me,
Yep.
Steve. One thing. Normally, when we have an endorsement, we send around a signatory page where everyone is signed. Because of past instances and because we're all meeting remotely, we've asked that the chair sign on behalf of the entire signatories. Do we need an action item for that to prove that for the endorsement?
I don't think so. Derek, do we? I don't think we do.
No, I don't think we typically do. I think it's fine just to have voted on it and to have the endorsement as part of the minutes, but it's sort of at the discretion of each MPO, to be honest. We don't do it it's not a requirement to do an endorsement. Yeah.
So is anyone opposed to having the chair just sign it, the endorsement today? Does anyone have a problem with that? Everyone good with that, or? All right, Brad, I don't think anyone has a problem with it, so why
Okay.
don't we just do that, all right?
Sounds good.
All right.
All right,
Thank you. I have to leave. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
thanks. Who was that? Just left, Brad, just so I know.
That was
That
Bonnie.
was Bonnie.
Okay. So we still have, I just want to make sure we still had a quorum because I know we want to
Yes.
vote on the
Yeah,
safety.
we still have one.
All right, so we're on to agenda item 5, which is the MassDOT safety performance measures for calendar year 2022. This is planned to be an MPO action if members agree. And I believe Chris is going to present this for MassDOT. So Chris, why don't you go ahead?
Yep. All right, let me share my screen. All right, can everyone see that okay?
Now we can, Chris.
Okay, excellent. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Clem. I am the MPO liaison for the Montachusett RPC, and I work in MassDOT's Office of Transportation Planning. So I'm just going to walk everyone through a brief presentation on the 2022 safety performance measures. For a little bit of background, the performance measures were established by FHWA in 2016, along with requirements that state DOTs and MPOs track these measures. So PM1 under discussion this afternoon relates to improving safety. PM2, maintaining pavement and bridge condition. And M3 is sort of a catch-all for system reliability. These are the 5 required performance measures under PM1 for fatality. We have 5-year average of total fatalities and the rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. For serious injuries, we have 5-year average of serious injuries, the rate of serious injuries, and the 5th performance measure is the combined total of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So in this first chart, we have total fatalities. Columns represent actual fatalities, and the orange represent the fatality rate in the trend line. The fatality rate represents 5-year average fatalities divided by 5-year average vehicle miles traveled. The calendar year 22 target setting process took place last April and began with a trend projection based on the most recently available data. Due to the unusual circumstances of the pandemic and its influence on vehicle miles traveled, 2021 projections were based on 2019 numbers, and the 2020 data was disregarded. So calendar year 22 projections were then based on a 2.5% reduction in fatalities from calendar year 21, resulting in a projection of 340 fatalities and a fatality rate of 0.56. And I do want to just state that MassDOT's overarching goal is 0 deaths, despite the target number on the screen there. This number was just produced for the purposes of a performance exercise required by FHWA. Goals are, again, 0 deaths in line with the state's Vision Zero policy, and we're pursuing this by implementing strategies in the Strategic Highway Safety Plan. Up next, we have serious injuries. The chart follows a similar format from the last one. You can see the actual number of injuries in the columns, and then the injury trend line in rates. MassDOT projections in this category have used calendar year 19 as a baseline as well because of changes in vehicle miles traveled due to the pandemic. So the calendar year 22 target is 2504 with a rate of 4.11 serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And this was calculated based on the decreasing trend line that you see on the screen and assuming a 3% reduction in annual serious injuries from 2018 to 2021, and then a 4% annual reduction from 21 to 2022. Lastly, we have the combined non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. And again, because of the high fluctuation of the data as a result of the pandemic, our calendar year 21 projections were set equal to the average of the calendar years 2017, 2018, and 2019 data. And we then did a 2% reduction in overall non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries for calendar year 2022, which gave us a target number of 471. And this is just a summary of the charts we previously saw, which includes the 2021 rolling edge, 22 targets just set out in text. I don't feel the need to speak all these, but And then moving on to region-specific data, let's look at Montachusett. So this is the region-specific data to Montachusett, focusing on the total annual
Chris,
fatalities.
oh, all right. No, it's just come up. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. No worries. So I focus your attention on the top column in each of these total annual fatalities. Montachusett has definitely been trending in the right direction in the last several years, moving from a high of 21 annual fatalities in 2009 in 2020. And we're following a similar trend for serious injuries. And the region can see a lot of non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries as well, which is excellent. So I just want that all the MPOs are required to either endorse MassDOT's targets or establish their own region-specific targets, along with methodologies and reports, and then must track those targets throughout the year. And a vote to endorse MassDOT's targets signals that the MPO is committed to using the regional planning process to advance statewide safety goals and move toward the statewide targets. Before I back out of the screen share, does anyone have any questions or would like me to put any of the charts back up on the screen?
Right,
I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Arthur.
Just one question. I'm just curious, do we have any indication of why, 2017 and 2018 they were significantly higher than other years? Is there any?
Is that for the regional data or for one of the charts?
One of the charts, if later, it was only a couple slides back from where you just were.
I think it was the regional data.
Regional? Let me move to it.
I think you had, 21 and 18 fatalities, and then the adjoining years were, yeah. I'm just looking at 2017 and 2018, and it's just such a big differential from the rest of the data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I haven't really dived into this data on a yearly basis. I've looked at some of the overall numbers and using the impact portal. But that's a great question, and I'm not sure if anyone from the RPC could provide any more information, Brad or Brian, if you have any thoughts, anything happened that year.
Nothing jumps to mind at this point from me, but we can look into it on our database and our information, report back with something at the next MPO meeting.
I'm just curious, 2016, it's what, 80% increase, right? From 2016 data. And it's, 70 to 80% above the two abutting years, 2016 or 2019. And, 100% more than 2015. It jumped out at me that it was a big difference from the other years.
Yeah, I don't have anything at this point that states what if we had a major incident or something like that, but we can check into it and find out. George Snow's good at diving into our crash data information, so we'll take a look and see.
Okay, thank you.
And Derek just put something in the chat too, so that might help Arthur. Anyone have any questions for Chris? Any more questions? All right. I don't see any questions. Does anyone want to make a motion a second, either to adopt the statewide targets or present, something else for the region?
No, I will say in the past, we've always gone along with the state's targets.
I move we go along with the statewide target.
That was you, Guy, right? I could see your mouth move, but I couldn't. It was the delay. All right, so Guy has moved the statewide. Is there a second to that?
I second it.
Was that George?
Yes.
Okay, any questions? All right, seeing none. Brian, can you read the roll, please?
Steve Woelfel, representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO.
Yes.
Arthur Frost, MassDOT Highway.
Yes.
Tom Skorowski, Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Trevor Beauregard, Gardner.
Yes.
Gordon Robertson, Lemonster,
Yes.
Guy Corbacero, MRPC,
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart,
Yes.
and Rosemary Meissner, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, it passes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Brian, could you bring up the agenda again? All right. So we're on to agenda item 6, which is a federal fiscal year 2023 Unified Planning Work Program. Sherry, I believe this is you, correct?
Yes, that's me. So back on January 3rd, we had sent out a project solicitation memo to all of our communities. Since that was sent out, we've heard back from Lemonster. They had 2 project requests. Those projects consisted of a study on Route 117 and Jungle Road intersection, where there was some safety concerns, specifically when turning left from Route 117 onto Jungle Road, where there are multiple lanes involved. There was some issues with navigating how to get into the Walmart parking lot versus continuing straight along Jungle Road. And the second request was a corridor study for the Merriam Ave into Fitchburg on Wayland Street, where the Twin City Plaza is located. They also were looking for some information on the Route 2 access point, specifically Route 2 eastbound, where the ramp is to turn on to getting onto the ramp. There's a lot of traffic backups there, and I think there's some significant crashes that occur. So I think they specifically were looking to see if a light could be justified at that location. That's something that we could potentially look into. We will be sending out another reminder for this project solicitation so that more communities might be interested in submitting projects for us to consider. And continuing along with our UPWP schedule, we hope to have all of our potential projects by February 8th so that we can have our first draft for the March MJTC and MPO meetings. So for February, to stay on task, we will be presenting an equity and environmental justice analysis, which tends to highlight the communities that we want to make sure that we include in our projects and which ones we might have, for lack of term, left out. Some of the smaller communities or the ones that don't necessarily go on like Route 2 or major roadways tend to kind of get in the background just because those are the projects that are being requested. So we want to make sure that we're including projects or allowing the opportunity for other communities that might not have a lot of projects to still be able to participate in the project requests. So for dates, we just want to, if you have a project that you're interested in getting on the UPWP for next year, definitely get a hold of me or Brad or anybody at MRPC and discuss them if you have some questions, make sure that they could potentially qualify or might make sense for the UPWP. And we do want those by February 8th so that we can have it for March as a draft. And by the end of the week, I will send out that memo reminder just to remind everybody that, that this is an ongoing process until early February. I think that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Sherry? All right. Thank you, Sherry. So please be on the lookout for materials from Sherry and others and get us your projects in by February to Sherry and Brad and Brian and the others. So we will now move over to agenda item 7, which is the Montachusett Federal Fiscal Year 2023 to 2027 TIP. I assume this is you, Brian?
Yes, it is. So we're continuing progress on our 2023 through 27 TIP update. As I mentioned last month, this will be ongoing through the next few months and into the spring. We plan on having a draft document available to the MPO at April's meeting and ultimately endorse in May. There's no major developments since we talked last month. Here's for a handout today, just a updated target project listing. This is one of 3 lists included in the tip, the others being the state prioritized projects and the transit prioritized projects, which we'll review as they become available. This is the project where we have discretion as an MPO to place projects. So this is laid out as currently exists in the 22 through 26 tip. You can see the first grayed out box here, fiscal year 22, and the notes column on the right-hand side are updated anticipated advertisement dates, and these projects seem to be on schedule, so we'll be dropping fiscal year 2022 and adding fiscal year 27 in our update. Really, we have just preliminary information still, very similar to last month. We plan on meeting with Mass DOT and what we call tip day on February 8th, and we'll update many of these costs and the statuses of the projects and talk about where they will likely be ready to go out for funding. Another major development we're anticipating is next week. We have an annual Massachusetts Regional Planning Association / Mass DOT joint meeting, which will get the target figures for our target projects. Some good news on that front is we anticipate some increased target funds for this upcoming update due to the recent bipartisan infrastructure bill just passed on the federal level. So we don't have those numbers yet. We expect those to increase our target funds. So hopefully we'll see where that leaves us. That'll give us some wiggle room and hopefully be able to sign a number of new projects this year. One thing that's slightly different from this update that we're doing as compared to past years is normally we start add the new year, in this case 2027, as a clean slate. However, in this case, we have already scheduled a project, which is the second year of Harvard resurfacing and box widening on Air Road project. We've advanced constructed this project, or AC'd, which basically means due to project scope and cost. We've scheduled it over 2 years. So this decision was made in the development of last year's or the current year's tip. We carry roughly $2.5 million of this Harvard project in 2026, with the remainder funded through 2027. So that leaves us with considerably less room that we're used to having for this new year. However, as I mentioned, the target balances we expect to go up. So we'll see where we stand. Next month, we'll talk more in detail as to what needs to happen. Additionally, the appendix projects, most of these are still in preliminary design stages. However, there are a few I'll highlight. The first being Clinton reconstruction of Sterling Street. You see at the top of this list, it's our highest graded valuation score that we have. It's at 25% design currently. And actually next month, we'll have the town and its consultant give an update on the status of this project just for informational purposes. Another project of note is Athol intersection improvements at Crescent Street and Chestnut Hill Ave. That's the third project down on this list. It's currently at 75% design and has actually seen a price decrease since last year's listing. So these 2 projects are progressing, and they're also 2 of our highest rated projects in the region. Likely will be attempting to move these projects into a federal fiscal year this go around. Also at the bottom of this list, the highlighted projects are new projects that came on board since last year. We have in Fitchburg and Ashby resurfacing and related work on Route 31, preliminary phase on that project, and finally Fitchburg reconstruction of John Fitch Highway, which is actually already at 25% design. It's also an extension project at nearly $10 million. So we'll be updating this list and going through the evaluation scores in the coming weeks. And as I mentioned, getting our budgets situated, and we plan on having a more robust discussion on project statuses and target funds at the February meeting. So here's a schedule similar to the UPW schedule you've seen. In the next few weeks, we'll do a lot of legwork, just getting on the same page as it pertains to status and cost. So that's all I have really for now, and I think it'll really pick up next month.
All right. Any questions for Brian? All right. Seeing none, thank you, Brian. Oh, did someone have a question?
I had one question.
All right, go ahead, Tom.
Fitchburg. So I was just curious, as these prioritization decisions are being made with the host of projects we here have in the appendices, will there be an analysis done taking a look at sort of geographic distribution of TIP funds over the 5 years we've got today? And I guess, what is the prioritization methodology we're using to decide what goes on, what goes off?
Yes, there is a equity analysis and geographic distribution analysis that we provide in the TIP. We certainly consider that when considering projects. To be honest with you, a lot of the times we're trying to find projects which have progressed in design far enough to be able to place in a particular year. We're really we want to make sure our project's ready to be funded in say 2023 this go around. We do look at distribution analysis. Another thing we do is our transportation evaluation score, which takes into account particular aspects of the project, such as safety and environmental mitigation efforts involved. And we consider all that information as well as the project cost, because it's a fiscally constrained document. We can't program over the target allotment in any given year. So that kind of all comes into play. Really, none of those aspects take precedence over another per se. We really have to consider everything at once, and it's sort of sometimes can turn into almost a Tetris game trying to fit in projects in a particular year. But yes, to answer your question, we will consider. In Fitchburg's case, they haven't had a target project in a number of years, so that will be a consideration.
Right, and for what it's worth, on the John Fitch project, the 25% are complete, and tonight the Mayor's ARPA Advisory Committee will be submitting the recommendations for funding for our first group of ARPA projects, and one of them that is going to get recommended will be the John Fitch design work to get it to 100%. So we'll have that money shortly to get that project shovel ready.
That's great. And like I said, the design status is one of the main drivers of where a project is allocated. If there's any interest in presenting any projects, whether it be the John Fitch Highway project or any community may have a project that they would like to update the status to the group, we can always do that. Like I said, next month's meeting, we'll have an update from Clinton on the reconstruction of Sterling Street 62 project.
All right.
I'll just throw in, and a lot of this is also reviewed through the JTC, and sometimes get more in depth on projects and reviews. And the evaluation criteria also we can discuss and talk about. And if you have questions about the TEC score, let us know. We'll be happy to share the information with you, and we can always discuss with you the project. So if you have more information than we have when we put the scoring together, that's great. We can then reevaluate the scores at that time also. So none of it's carved in stone. We can always readdress and reevaluate projects as we move forward.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Tom, do you have another question? Oh, all right. All right. Anyone have any questions? All right. Seeing none, thank you, Brian. We'll move on to agenda item 8, which is updates. So I don't know who wants to go first from the Highway Division, but you guys figure it out amongst yourselves. Arthur, you want to go first?
Sure. Land for 2022, you have 608779, which is Lancaster Route 117, Route 70 at Lunenburg Road, and that's at the final design stage, and that's due to be advertised March 12th. The other project on the region's target is 608793, which is Hubbardston, Route 68, Main Street. That's at final PS&E, and that's due to be advertised on June 4th. And there's I don't know whether you want me to go through a few statewide projects.
Yeah, I think so, Arthur. As we get closer to the tip, I think it'd be good. So why don't you go ahead?
So 605296 is Fitchburg Bridge Preservation on Circle Street, and that's due to be advertised on June 11th. Then we have 610729. This is Gardner Westminster pavement preservation work on Route 2, and we're due to advertise that on June 18th. And then we have Ashby, Greenville Road, Route 31, and Turnpike Road. That's 609314, and that's due to be advertised July 30th. Then there's Safe Routes to School project, Leominster Viscolade Avenue, 609529. That's due to be advertised May 21st. And Gardner Elm Street, 610672. Right now, there is a target date advertisement of June 25th, 2022. And the only change in that is the school had been an elementary school, is due to be changed to I'm missing the name. I think it's alternative school. So that's the question, is whether that one still meets the parameters of the program. But I don't know that there's a final decision on that one yet.
There isn't.
Okay. So, and then we also have one last project, which is non-federal aid. It's 610730, and that's Westminster Fitchburg Route 2. And that's due to be advertised. Well, I guess that's not going to be advertised until December of next year. But that's non-federal aid. So you'll have to be getting a lot of Route 2 resurfacing work done in 2022, or advertised in 2022.
All right. Any questions for Arthur? All right. Dow, you have any updates?
Yes, good afternoon. Sure. For fiscal year 22, project 608850. That's a Petersham Bridge replacement, Glen Valley Road over East Branches of Swift River. Design is at PS&E. The PS&E was received on January 7th, is currently under review. Comments are due on February 4th. The current ad date is June 11th, 2022. TFPC on project info is 2.468 million. Current tip amount is 2.050 million. For fiscal year 23, we have a project 608784, that's Templeton roundabout construction at the intersection of Patriots Road, South Main Street, and North Main Street, and Gardner Road. Roadway design is at 75%. 100% was due on January 14th. Right-of-way plans have been received on the 11th, are under review, and we're waiting a requested schedule update. Current ad date on this is January 14th, 23. TFPC is 2.037 million. Current tip amount is 1.719 million. For in FY24, we have project 609107. That's Phillipston Templeton pavement preservation related work on Route 2. Design is at 75% design. 100% / PS&E is due this Friday, the 21st. Current ad date is November 11th, 23. TFPC project info is 9.701 million. The current tip amount is 10.477. In FY25, we have no projects. FY26, we have project 608424. That's Templeton reconstruction Route 68 from King Philip Trail, Route 202 north to the Phillipston town line. Design is at 75%. The 100% design submission is due June 23rd this year. Current ad date is January 10th, 26. TFPC is 6.063 million. Current tip amount is 7.017 million. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Darryl? All right. Thank you, Arthur and Darryl, for those updates. Next update is from Transit. I'm guessing it's you, George?
Yes, I just have one update. a very good news. MART has launched the Follow Your Bus an app developed by Passio Technology for enabling real-time bus tracking and alert notifications. MART users will be able to track the real-time locations of a bus by viewing the bus in a graphical dashboard provided by Passio Technologies. No more missing the bus with real-time information. And we already start having people calling us, and they are so happy with this app. Very easy to use. That's what I have.
All right. Any questions for George? All right. Thank you, George. Next update is from the MJTC. Brad, is this you?
Yes, it is. Couple of items. The JTC met last on January 12th. And again, as mentioned earlier, we began discussions on the TIP and the UPWP. We expect a project presentation next month, as again previously mentioned. The next meeting of the JTC is Wednesday, February 9th. Meeting notices will go out about 1 week beforehand, and the registration information will also be available on the MRPC website. One note, currently the JTC has an open chair position. The prior chair is no longer with the city of Fitchburg, hence the vacancy. As of now, the vice chair will be fulfilling the role of chair. Officer election is scheduled to take place in July, so he may just be filling in for the rest of the year using the vice chair and secretary. There were two separate handouts prepared for this meeting. The first is announcement of a joint Mass Mobility, MassDOT Rail and Transit Division, and Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative. They're putting a webinar together entitled Mobility Management in Massachusetts. It is scheduled for February 3rd from 10 a.m. to noon. Registration info is on the handout, and it's also going to be found on the MRPC webpage. On the first page under announcements, there's a tab that will take you to the this flyer, as well as the links there to register. So if you're interested in this webinar. The second handout is on a recent announcement on the next round of the MassDOT Shared Streets and Spaces program. This is the fourth round of the program that has to date implemented 310 projects and awarded $33 million to municipalities across the Commonwealth. Applications are going to be due by March 1st and have to be submitted via an online form. This round, they're adding a new project type, the management of vehicle speeds through design intervention. This speed management program involves making targeted changes to streets using identified safety measures in order to reduce crashes and their severity through safer and more consistent vehicle speeds. Again, this flyer is and information contained in this is also available on our website under the announcements. And then finally, just get a reminder from MassDOT regarding the Mass Trails grants. The 2022 grant round deadline is coming up for submission. It's 2 weeks away. So I just want to remind people they have something that they think would be funded through Mass Trails grant to take a look at this program. And there is also an announcement on our website to get you to links to the program and for further information. And that is all I have under JTC.
All right. Any questions for Brad? All right. The last update is from the Regional Planning Commission. Do you have anything, Guy or Brad?
Yes, I do. Guy Corbacero. Good afternoon. The MRPC will soon receive their district local technical assistance contract from the Massachusetts Department of Community Development. MRPC will issue its annual request for delivery of services to all communities this month. Now, the MRPC welcomes 3 new employees in the Planning and Development Department. They are Jeff LaGrosse, Principal Planner, Tyler Godin, Regional Planner, and Ryan Doherty, Economic Development Intern. They are joining our existing staff of Karen Chapman, Planning and Development Director, and Jonathan Valls, regional planner. And MRCPC will begin its FY23 budget process in February and will conclude it on June 9th, 2022. And that's about all I have at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Guy? All right. Thank you, Guy. We're on to the next agenda item, administrative matters, was next MPO meeting. Is that you, Brad?
Yep, it's Wednesday, February 16th at 1 p.m.
Okay, so please mark it on your calendars. We will have that TIP amendment up, and as Brian said, we're going to start getting into the TIP development for the new year or the next year coming up in October. So please try to be there. Last agenda item is adjournment. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved, Guy Corbisiero.
All right, seconded by you, Arthur.
Sure.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, thank you everybody for participating in the meeting today. Please be safe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And